In this video, we're going to review how to use the SUMIF function. The SUMIF function is useful if you have a set of numeric data where the numbers are also associated with different variables that are non-numeric, and then you want to summarize the numeric data by one of the non-numeric variables. For example, here we have sales data. The total sales column has the total sales for particular salespeople. Each total sales number is associated with a region and a gender of the salesperson. So we can use the SUMIF function if we want to summarize or add up these total sales by region or by gender. And we'll practice doing that over here to the right. We'll sum all the sales by region and we'll total the sales by gender. First, let's take a look at the syntax of the function. Here in the black type, this is the general syntax for the SUMIF function. You give it a range. This is the range that the criterion is going to apply to, and then you give it a criterion. And then, if the numbers you're adding together aren't in the first range, you add the range that has the numbers that you're adding together. So for example, if we want to sum the sales by the North region, we would use the SUMIF function, and first it would get this region column, which is C4 to C21. So SUMIF C4 to C21. So we're going to look at those, and if they say North, see, this is the criterion, then we're going to sum the associated number that's in column D4 to D21. That's where the sales are. So what the function will do is look in C4 to C21. Any place it sees North, it will include the sales from that row in the sum. Now, one more trick. Instead of hard coding the criterion North, we could just click on the cell that has the criterion, which in this case is cell F5. So I made a mistake here. I called it F4. Let's change that to F5. And then you can copy this SUMIF formula down to fill in the sales for each of the regions without having to change it. Now, if you do that, you have to make the references to the ranges absolute references by putting the dollar signs in there, so that the references to the column with the region and the column with the sales don't change when you copy the formula down. So this blue formula, this is the one we're going to implement on our worksheet. So again, it's equals SUMIF, that's S-U-M-I-F, and then type the left-hand parentheses. And then the first argument it takes is the range. This is the range of cells that has the criterion. In this table, the criterion is going to be the region. So we select the range of cells that has the regions. And I'm going to make that absolute reference. On a Windows PC, you can do that with the function 4 key. On a Mac, it's the command button plus the T. And then put a comma. The next thing I need to enter is the criterion. In this case, if I want to sum all the sales, I want to sum the sales for the North region. So I click on North. And then put another comma. What's the region that has the numbers that we're summing together? That's the sales numbers. So D4 colon D21. And I'm going to make those an absolute reference also. And then type the right-hand parentheses to complete the formula. The last thing I'm going to do is format this with currency format so it looks nice. So there's our function equals SUMIF, the range with the criterion, so the range with the regions, then the criterion, which is going to be in this cell right here in F5, and then the next range is the range of numbers that are being summed together. So what this function does, it looks over here, and every place it sees north, since the criterion is north, it adds that associated number to the sum. Since we made the reference to the criterion region a relative reference, when we copy this function down, it'll work for all of the regions. Now we can do the same thing for sales by gender. Equals SUMIF. The first thing we enter is the range that has the criteria. So that's the gender cells. Make that an absolute reference with F4 or Command T if you're on a Mac, or you can manually type in the dollar signs. Now I'm going to type a comma. The criterion is going to be in this cell right here. So in this case it's M for male, comma, and now the range of the numbers that'll be summed if the criterion is met. That's the sales figures. Use F4 or Command T to make those absolute reference. Type the right hand of the parentheses and enter. And I'm also going to format this one as currency before I continue on. And now I'll copy it down, and I've finished.